just took advantage of her. Oh.
Let's call meeting to order. Let the record show all board members are present. To have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have agenda items. Delegation. Sorry? Yeah, Diane Bakejan. You have 5 minutes.
We good? Okay. Oh. Good evening, President Ford, members of the board, and Dr. Starcher. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes this evening. My name is Diana Bakejan. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, who will be starting her senior and final season of soccer. I'm here to express my support for Corey Hunter for the position of head soccer coach for the Shady Spring High School girls team. I have known the Hunter family for several years since my daughter began playing with their daughter back in 2015. Unbeknownst to Corey, our family actually referred to him as Ella Go to Goals, Dad, because he could be heard all over the field coaching and encouraging her and her teammates along. He has not missed a game the last 2 seasons, and at the conclusion of every game, you will find the players seeking him out to see what advice he will give them on how they can improve. As an example of Corey's willingness to help these young people, he has trained and worked with the goalie for both the girls and boys soccer team for the last 2 years. This, of course, was not sanctioned or involved with the schools or their coaches in any way. He was not paid to do this. He just gave of his own time. I had an extended conversation with Corey during track season, just at the prospect of him getting to coach the girls this fall. And basically, simply stated, his goal was for every girl on the team to be able to develop the skills they need to play at the next level, if that's what they want to do. The passion and support he brings to the table are unmatched. As it is July 9th, I am dreadfully concerned to see the hiring process start over with less than 1 month before the official season opening. The girls are already missing flex days that the boys team are taking full advantage of. I urge you to please not delay this decision any further and approve the hiring of Corey Hunter for the Shady Spring girls soccer head coach. Please allow these girls the opportunity to defend their sectional title. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Carly Hunter.
We're good? Okay. I'm Carly Hunter. I'm actually here for my husband, Corey. He would have loved to have been here, and he did have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Starcher and HR, so I came in his stead, kind of, but we have VBS at church this week, and we're teaching small groups, and the kids like him better than they like me, so I'm here. I am not only just coming as his wife, but I'm also coming as a parent of a player. We have a daughter that has played for the school since her freshman year. She'll be a junior this year. And just like Diana, I'm concerned about the delay of their preseason options. We do have a friendly tournament that we play in Princeton every year that I feel like that they're not getting an opportunity to have flex days to prepare for that. They have a lot of fun. It's called Kicker Rum, and a lot of the local schools come about to do this, and they do look forward to it. He is definitely qualified for the position. He works really hard to give the girls the best advice that he can, and he's doing this just to build the program. This is just something he's passionate about. He's been coaching soccer for 15 years. He's been involved with the youth, with the YMCA, and it would just be beneficial if he would be considered for the position. And hopefully it works out in the best interest for the girls, because that's what's most important to us. So thank you for your time. Do I touch the button again? Okay.
Thank you. We have no non-agenda items. Communications report. Dr. Hutchins?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
Ms. Smith?
I just contacted Gary and Alan to let them know I was replacing Gordy as their liaison.
Were they excited?
Didn't seem to be.
probably didn't know Gordy was even on the thing, to tell you the truth.
Touche.
Let's be honest with us.
Ms. Hambrick?
I have nothing.
Okay, I don't have anything. Dr. Starcher? Oh, I'm sorry, Rick.
That's okay. That's all right. I got Gordy's remark in. I did speak to Gordy this week.
You'd already
He did tell us to try to carry on without him. Do good stuff. But I don't know what or how we're doing it or whatever, the summer mowing at the schools. But I will say this, that Trap Hill and Liberty, I was there, and they both looked good. I mean, they're not perfect, but last year we had grass up probably about 16 inches. And so whoever's in charge of that, Gary, I don't know who does that or who handles that, but it does look a lot better. So give whoever is doing that a boy.
Thank you, Mr. Snuffer. I know Mr. Dillon set the custodial schedule for the month of June and the summer months, so I know he's been closely working with him, and I believe Mr. Daniel's been assisting with some other issues we've had. So anyway, thank you. Appreciate that. And thank to both of them. Do you want me to go ahead? Yep. All right. So welcome, Ms. Smith. I know last week you were official, but this is your first regular board meeting. So welcome to the board. Welcome back, I should say. Welcome back. Again, as I've done the last couple meetings, we have 4 interns in the back with us again today or tonight. Maybe 5. Is there one? Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't see your hand. Sorry. So we do have 4 interns. Most of them are going to be wrapping up their time with us here soon. One finishes this week. So it's been nice. They have helped us tremendously preparing for the back to school fair and getting our principal notebooks ready for August. So I think they've had a pretty good sense of what goes on here in the summer. But they certainly helped us too. So thank you. And it's been nice to
You might want to say where
have
they're from. You know, they're from a certain part of the county.
Oh, I'm
of
sorry. These 4 ladies are all from Fairdale Elementary. Well, they were at Fairdale this past year. One of them is going to Marsh Fork for the coming year. So anyway, I'm not sure that they'll still be here at the next board meeting with ours. So I want to thank them and encourage them as they pursue their administrative certification. The next thing, I'll remind the board members that the back to school wellness fair is August the 9th. It is from 9 to 2. Please feel free to stop out and visit with us at the fair, but that is Friday, August 9th from 9 to 2 at the Beckley-Raleigh County Convention Center. The next thing is the Invest Conference. If you remember last year, we had multiple schools attend the Invest Conference. It was structured a little differently this year. If you recall, last year it had actually be a school team and the principal had to attend. That wasn't a requirement this year. Teachers could go basically on their own. So we've had about 50 of our professionals attend Invest, and most schools have been represented this summer. The Science of Reading summer program is underway. If you remember, I think it's House Bill 3035 required us to have Science of Reading summer programs this year for our kindergarten students who didn't meet a certain benchmark. We had 40 kindergarten students across the county not meet that mark. Of those 40, we have 13 students attending this summer, but it's underway, and we're looking at ways that maybe we can even strengthen it for next year. Next year, we would be required to offer it for K and 1. We're looking at expanding it to K2 or K3 next summer. I know that we often have questions about functional capacity and the time it takes. Ms. Colvin, I did see her here earlier, but I will let the board know functional capacity testing is back to this area. It's being done in Oak Hill now, and Ms. Colvin reports that the vendor is very easy and accommodating when we need to get an employee through or a prospective employee through. So functional capacity is in Oak Hill. They're still trying to get it secured through Bar H, but we're in like the legal system right now trying to get a contract with them. But anyway, it is back to Oak Hill, which is better than Charleston. Playgrounds, just a little update. Stratton's playground should be ready, and we should have the fence around it when school starts. Shady Elementary, the vendor will move to Shady Elementary upon completion at Stratton. So there's a possibility that we'll have the pre-K playground ready at Shady Elementary when we open, but certainly not the 512 playground. It would not be ready. A little update on technology. Miss Polly's department has been busy this summer. Coal City and Gent Elementary schools have all received new Promethean boards throughout the building. So those are ready when we open, and Promethean boards will begin to be installed at Crescent mid next week. Okay, so that'll be good. We will open those 3 schools with new Promethean boards this fall. Beckley and Clear Fork, they have been rounded out essentially with Promethean boards, but some of those were newly used at Stratton, I believe. So we've transferred them to those 2 schools. But basically, all 5 of those schools now have Promethean boards.
Are we going to have training for that? I mean, it's one thing to put up a thing, but we need
My tests go out and they train them, all of them.
train the teachers is going to be doing, okay.
So they're the tech support for that.
Okay, because, you know, that's the big thing, and we put time but if you don't train the,
We support.
okay, thank you.
And I will also say Shady Elementary and Stratton they both have Promethean boards throughout their facilities. So that's a huge addition for our elementary schools. I'm offering this just in case you receive calls. House Bill 4600 requires all employees that have any access, basically, to special needs students to be trained. They say it's an 8-hour training module. It takes a little less time than that, but it is a substantial amount of time. So that policy training is, the way we interpret it, is required for all employees, and all means subs. So that's something Ms. Simonko's office has been dealing with quite heavily over the last few weeks. But if any substitutes would reach out to you, they should have received a mailing, but we're having face-to-face training or large group training for 4600 on July 24th and July 29th. So if any subs reach out to you, you can tell them to please contact Ms. Simonko's office, or have they received the mailing that there's training on July 24th and 29th.
Are those limited? Are those 2, the 24th and 29th, limited number?
Okay, so they're hoping not to have more than 30 in a session, but Ms. Simonko and Mr. Sexton are working together. If we have more than 30 show up in the morning, we will ask them to come a few hours later, and we'll do another session in the afternoon. So we can run up to 4 sessions on those 2 days. Some substitutes, you can do it on your own. I mean, I did mine at home. I was a little tardy in doing mine, but I did it at home. And some staff, does it at home. Some staff feels more comfortable coming in to do it as part of a group. I mean, we offered it here over Christmas break as a group. So some of our subs have already completed it, and some have not.
I think maybe a problem is some of them can't get logged on, or what I've heard.
Well, from
That
what
they
I've been
can't.
told recently, if employees, substitute employees have not used their email address, K-12 address, within the last year, they've been wiped out. So now we're having to go back through and get them a K-12 email, and that's back to, and that's nothing we did. I mean, they're just wiped out. So I think that's a hurdle that some of the staff's having to go through. Now, this training is one that has to be done every 3 years. So once we get people through this year, we're good for 3 years. Now, as we hire new employees, it's upon employment. Okay. Do you have a question?
It's going to be a nightmare to keep track of who's been trained, who hasn't.
Well,
I'm just.
there are
I'm
many.
just saying, I mean, you guys are doing it, but man.
The legislature, not just 4600, but the legislature changed some other requirements. So multiple trainings are now required upon employment, and then every 3 years. So actually, Ms. Reeve has been working to secure a contract with Vector. I wanted to call it Verco. I knew that wasn't right. With Vector, and from our understanding, that is going to help us track who needs it, who needs what training and when.
Well, you know, we have problems getting people to file their recertification just to keep their teaching license.
Right.
Okay? Can you imagine how many people are not going to get the special ed training and then be kicked off and have to, I mean, I'm just,
It's a lot. And it's not just House Bill 4600. There are several trainings that are required. So Ms. Reeve is taking the lead on that, and getting that program situated and up and running. And we're
and I'm
gonna
not
do our
saying it's
very
bad
best.
training, I'm just saying
Yes.
the details and trying to track that and keep the employees and know them. If you're going to have a job, or if you want to have a job thing, you're not going to have a job if you, probably if you don't have the certification.
Correct, yes. So I just thought you may receive calls, and I wanted to let you know, all of our new teachers, like our new professional employees, they will be attending training on August 14th. So we have that scheduled for them as well. Couple more things. Cardiac emergency response plans. I don't believe I've mentioned these to you before. They're called CERPs, C-E-R-P-S. This is a training that any school with an organized athletic program has to provide. Did I mention this? You're shaking your head.
No,
Okay.
I know we trained them on the units and doing something. This is a much deeper thing.
Every school has to have a cardiac emergency response plan. It does include AEDs,
Right,
but
right.
that's part of it. But this came through a change in legislation this year. So now, before any athlete, elementary, middle, or high school athlete, can participate in practice, a game, anything, the parent and that athlete have to attend a meeting at the school. And the school principal, coach, AD, they'll go over the CERP, and then every parent and student, athlete, has to sign a form that they've received, they understand the CERP, and then they can participate in athletics. This is an annual requirement. Ms. Foster, I don't believe Ms. Foster's here tonight, but Ms. Foster is working with Chad Cox. He's our EMT instructor at ACT. They are working together to put together a training that all 26 schools will use. And Ms. Lewis is involved as well. They've developed a standard form. They've developed a standard packet. So it'll be consistent across the county, but you could get calls about that too, just because an athlete cannot participate until this is taken care of. Now, one example I'll use, I'm going to use Mr. Dillon. And we know Mr. Dillon has multiple children. Mr. Dillon wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't mean
That's
that in a
the
bad
rumor.
way.
That's
He
the
just
rumor, right?
has more than one, and they're at different schools. Okay. They're all in the same household with his wife. Okay, their mother.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Dillon, I did not mean for that to come out. I'm just using him as an example. They're in different schools, but Mr. Dillon, as the parent of all three of his children, they can all go to one training and one meeting at one school, and he can take care of all three at that one night. So it's not like parents have to go to multiple meetings. If they have multiple children like Mr. Dillon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know, that sounds like a good idea and everything, and it's pretty good training stuff, but it's hard to get parents, and it's hard to get a parent that really has authorization to sign that. You know what I'm saying about custody and stuff?
Oh,
That will be a tricky thing, because a lot of times the parent who brings that child to practice stuff is not the parent who probably has so someone's got to check all that, make sure
Well-
that person.
unless we have a legal document on file that says mom or dad can't sign, they're allowed to sign, unless we have a legal document that says otherwise.
Says, even if they don't have the custody of the
That is
child.
correct, unless the parent, the custodial parent, unless the parents produce a legal document that says otherwise, we have to treat parents equally.
Right, that is true.
And I thought you had to have the one that had the custody was the only one that could sign, okay.
Yeah. So that is something on the horizon. We've already communicated with our principals. They all know this, and they're all prepared to do it. But this is a change, and with change come sometimes come complaints and questions. So I wanted to let you know that.
It didn't cover this flex days, it just covers the regular season coming up in August, correct?
We are treating it as it covers the regular season coming up in August.
Okay,
Yes.
because I was gonna say there's a lot of stuff going on.
That's how we understand it, and that's how we're proceeding, Mr. Sniper. That's the best interpretation we have. We've had discussion about it, but that's our interpretation. The last thing I wanted to report, this is an estimate. For the year, we have distributed 16,379 cards to students, whether it be perfect attendance or GPA. So we had 16,379 kids at least receive one card, maybe multiple cards, but our students did a great job this year, and I just wanted to recognize them. Of a breakdown, we had 5,357 total receiving some type of perfect attendance and 11,022 GPA. That's good. So we were happy with that. That is all I have. Does anybody have a question?
I do have, go ahead.
I just have a comment. The kids loved getting the card from you about their GPAs. I mean, I've gotten calls about that, like, how nice is that? I got a card.
There've been a lot of
Easy, but,
cards.
yeah.
It was, it's been well worth it. If it makes them happy and if it encourages them to keep on doing what they're doing, it's all worth it.
Only comment I had, and kind of, not so much on the cards, but, you know, we just finished up with, I would estimate probably, maybe I'm crazy, maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's not, dollars in scholarships that Raleigh County children were awarded through the 4 high schools. And when we have a society who thinks that public education isn't doing a good job, I think somehow, and it's a lot on the principals and the guys, but if we could track that to a different estimate and make that publicly knowledgeable, that this are, Raleigh County students were awarded X amount of dollars, it shows that, what we are doing. In the proof's in the pudding, and when you've got that kind of scholarships coming in and that kind of money being available to those kids, it shows that public schools are still very successful and producing well-educated children.
We will do that. Ms. Hodges is hearing us. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, second thing is self-appraisal.
Okay, board members, as you will recall, every year you have to do a Board of Education self-appraisal. Now, Ms. Smith, I know you weren't here to do this, Mr. Root did it, but there are all 5 board members.
We don't make you go by Gordy's score, okay? So that's okay.
You don't know who did what, but or who said what, but I just wanted to bring this to you tonight and let you see the responses. I will submit this to the State Department and the School Board Association as is required. But you can see, I think personally number 2 might be a mistake, but maybe not. It's very weird. I don't expect any board member to have selected green for that, but anyway, I think that's a weird one. Number 5, you'll see a lot of our circles are completely blue or close to all blue, but number 5, we had 4 orange and 1 blue. So that's something, I mean, it's still agree or strongly agree, but that's something I want to work with the board on this year about county goals and means of achieving them at our board meetings. So we'll work on that. You can look through this, you'll see number 13, we have a little bit more orange. Our board and the frequent meaningful conversations. So that's something we can talk about, how you might like to change that. And, you'll see 1 green here or there. So I'd like to work on those 1 greens and.
Somebody was grumpy that day.
I don't know. But I mean, I'd like to see all blue or at least all orange and blue. So the ones that have the 1 green, we'll try to address those. But take a look through that, and if you have any comments, let me know. We'll be happy to work on that. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, ZMM.
Make sure you hit the button to turn it on red.
Is that better? Okay, bring you a little update on several projects. I'll try not to skip around. The park demo was bid today. We had one bidder. I think 5 showed up to pre-bid, but we only had one bidder. We feel it's a little high. The bid was $3.9 million. And it involves more than just the demo. It's the demo, the retaining wall. We added scope of work to infill the breezeway, two stairs, one interior and one exterior. We still feel it's a little high. We're going to talk to the contractor tomorrow and get a sort of an idea of where his cost lay, his most expensive piece. And then I'm going to talk to a couple people that didn't bid and wonder why they didn't bid. So we'll investigate a little bit further before we have a recommendation as to what to do with that. The excuse me, the gymnasium is on schedule. We had a construction meeting today, ironed out a few issues, and then I think it's the September.
November 21st.
September was the brick. Pardon me.
Okay.
Pardon?
I was just saying November 21st was the final date.
Final substantial completion. They hope to get the brick prior to September. It all hinges on some long lead items, but hopefully we can speed that up. We did discuss things with the contractor today about speeding up certain things so we could have a winter sports schedule figured out. I think Dr. Starcher mentioned before that the Stratton Playground should be wrapping up this week and then the fencing to follow. The Woodrow Wilson Waterline project has been bid. We will bring the low bidder for approval on the 23rd of July at the board meeting. And we will also, at that time, after that, or the week after that, the parking lot at Stratton will be bid. The bid date on that is the 30th, and then we'll get that to you as soon as we can on that. And you'll notice out there at Stratton, there's a pile of dirt and some stuff that will be used for fill under the new parking lot. So that's the intent of that. That's why that's still there. I think that wraps up about everything.
Have all the structures we bought at Stratton been demolished, the old houses we bought there and stuff?
I think so.
I saw one, I thought they were, but there was one there, I thought, well, did we not get that one away, right? I didn't know. Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, Mr. Dillon, correct me, but when Empire came to demo the old school, they demoed all of our structures, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how the parking lot got established. Is that it? Any questions?
Any questions?
Just keep on that gym.
Yeah.
Do our best.
I don't have a lot of faith in that one, so.
Thank you. Presentation of federal programs, K-8 math instruction. There you go.
Malati and I are here this evening to talk about some expenditures that we'd like to make through federal programs. Go ahead to the second slide. Here's a list of 4 items that we would like to purchase. The first one, K-8 reading and math benchmarking tool, that's iReady. We've used that for several years. We know that that works. It's a great source of data for us and for teachers. The second one, supplement materials to support daily spiral review in math. That's Simple Solutions. This would be the second year for Simple Solutions. It is a paper pencil based program, so it is not digital. The third one, innovative math instruction materials to increase achievement in Title I schools. That's called Math and Movement. Malati will tell you exactly what that is here in a moment, but that's for all teachers in Title I schools. And then math intervention for Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction. It's called Do the Math. We've seen a greater need for Title I teachers to be teaching math, so this is for Title I teachers only. So the last three are all, they're not digital, they're actual hands-on things that kids do. So Malati's going to tell you about those.
Good evening, President Ford, Dr. Starcher, board members. Thank you for letting us speak to you this evening. As you know, we have been using iReady for several years. As of this year, this is the first year that all the middle schools have used it, right? Yes. Okay. We use it K-8. Our title schools and our elementary schools have been using it several years, and we found it to be very successful through 8th grade. Let me think what sorry. So we know that iReady is an assessment that mirrors the personalized learning component in iReady and also aligns very closely with the West Virginia General Summative Assessments. It is both a diagnostic and a personalized learning platform. And teachers like iReady because not only does it allow them to see a breakdown of general competencies for students, but that learning, the personalized learning and the teacher toolkit gives them additional access to lessons and resources. And with the new math adoption, everything will be directly in line with each other for classrooms in K through 5. Okay. So Simple Solutions is next. Last year, we did a pilot in 2 schools to determine if Simple Solutions, which is a daily math spiral, would increase achievement in our elementary schools. And we did find that an increased achievement in both title and non-title schools by about 10 to 15% pre-test, post-test. So Simple Solutions was chosen because we see a historical weakness, especially in the geometry domain. And we think that's because geometry typically is taught during the 4th 9 weeks. So a lot of students don't have regular exposure to geometry until the end of the year. Simple Solutions incorporates all grade level standards throughout the year, and the targeted standards are covered nearly every day. So they have exposure to each of the domains and standards within the domains daily, even if that's not part of the regular core instruction for the day. And it's a very quick 20-minute program that isn't intended to replace core instruction, but is just intended to supplement the core instruction of the day. And it is just a workbook, so I brought some examples if you were interested in seeing those.
So each child will have a workbook like that?
Yes, sir. Yes. And the next item that we are looking at is just for teachers in our Title I schools. We continue to struggle with achievement, especially in Title I schools in math. So our department has been working to identify materials or something kind of out of the box to improve test scores. So I found some research on a kinesthetic approach to math instruction. So kids are actively engaged in physical movement while they're learning core instruction. So math and movement provides these really large scale, durable floor mats that are aligned with each of the standards in the grade level. So it'll align with the core instruction, isn't a replacement of core instruction, but allows the teachers to incorporate these, and the kids will move around while learning. Fluency facts, as you can see in the slide, there was a over 3,000% increase in multiplication facts when they used these large-scale mats. And they're not rugs. That's a question that somebody had asked me when I was looking into it. They're really heavy-duty, durable rubber mats. Yeah. So we're really excited about that. I hope you all are too. And then the final thing I want to share with you all this evening is a product produced by Heinemann Publishing, and it's Marilyn Burns' Do the Math. Our Title I teachers have been in meetings with us this year and have talked about their need for something additional to support their Title I groups, especially Tier 2 and Tier 3. And we have looked at this program, participated in some webinars with Do the Math, and we thought this would be the most in line with our goals for improving math instruction. Gotta think of the word. The core topics are designed to support addition and subtraction, multiplication and division, and fractions. So it doesn't necessarily align with the standards of the grade level, but it's intended to support each child's improved reasoning and their overall number sense, so that when they go back into their regular core classroom with their math teacher, they're ready to do grade level work. And the kits come in components divided in, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The teacher has that, and they'll have a manipulative kit to support the instruction. The students take a pretest, and it helps the teacher determine which topic they need to work on. And then the students work in a workbook workspace. And in that workspace, they are guided through with the teacher. Each lesson starts with some type of concrete representation and moves to, instead of, a physical representation, then it's representational, and then they work on just the abstraction of the math. So it follows this very well-researched math instructional model. And it also incorporates kids' literature. So each topic and each set of core topic areas has children's books that go along with it. So.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So we have iReady and Simple Solutions for a regular classroom teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
and Math and Movement and Do the Math are Title I.
So math and movement would be for all teachers in Title I schools, and then do the math would be for Title I teachers in Title I schools.
So Math and Movement is for all teachers
In Title I schools,
in
yes.
Title I
Yes.
schools. Is that not a lot of programs for teachers to do? I mean, that's a bunch of different programs. And are they going to be required to do all of them?
No, the math and movement would be supplemental. It isn't required to be done daily. It's a feature to enhance core instruction, but isn't a replacement of core instruction. And then the Do the Math is just for Tier 2 and Tier 3.
And again, iReady I'm familiar with.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the others, and I'm not saying that any of them aren't good programs, but sometimes we can overwhelm teachers by giving them so many things that they feel compelled that they have to do. That would be my only concern.
I believe I'm correct, Ms. Lowry can correct me, but Simple Solutions, we're already using. I know,
I
Ms.
know she said you piloted it.
Well, I think that was 2 years ago. Every school used it this year.
We only.
And it was a requirement that they use it in addition to the iReady stuff.
We asked them to use it. Some schools did not. We want them to because and all the teachers have asked us to renew that. We let them give the input and they all were thrilled with Simple Solutions because it's a spiraling review. They spend 15 to 20 minutes and if the kids don't complete, they stop. It doesn't have to be that. It's not really like a workbook page that's ever graded. It's just review and keeps those skills remediated. The iReady is personalized instruction, so we don't, it's only required 10 minutes.
I'm familiar with iReady.
Yeah,
I know
okay,
what it
and so
is.
that's really not during the core. And so what she's speaking to, the mats, that would be, let's say that I'm teaching fractions and there's activity I can use with that mat, then that's when I would pull that out and do it with that mat. Because it's kinesthetic, we feel like they're gonna learn better with those hands-on getting up and moving for the younger kids, especially. When we were presenting that for Title I schools and the teachers there, but it would be like a teaching tool, not a requirement. It's like if I give you manipulatives or something to teach fractions. it's
Again,
just
my
a
only
teaching tool.
concern is that we
Right.
often grab onto a program, and not saying that the programs are not good, but we also have so many things in that classroom that sometimes it's overwhelming to a teacher, especially elementary teachers that have all of this to do in addition to everything else. That would be my only word of caution. I'd be very cautious of that because, not that it's not good, sometimes it's just so much to fit into a day that it becomes overwhelming.
And we also want to provide things that are not digital. These are, like we said,
Yeah.
hands-on.
And that, I
moving
think that's good too, because
Yeah,
That was
that
good.
last one, the math intervention for Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction, Title I teachers historically are reading teachers. They don't always like to teach the math. We've encountered this. They need something to help them, and we feel like this is the best
yeah.
product.
We
for
used to have
Title
Title I
I
math
only.
teachers.
Yeah, well, they're reading and math
Sure
teachers.
did.
They don't like to say that, but they are reading and math intervention teachers, so. But, yeah, that last one is just for Title I teachers, and they're small groups.
I just think it's really good with the manipulatives where they can get up. Not that I have anything against digital stuff, Rachel. But.
She would agree with you. She
I
would
like-
agree.
Yeah, it's just good to have them do something else.
We met today, Monty and I were talking even about, at some point, seeing how this math map works and trying to provide it for even PE teachers to where you can cross curricular levels where they're doing movement and still multiplying, or where they're using curriculum in their classrooms as well. Like you see the reading with that program, the literature tied to for the Title I teachers.
There's a lot of data, and you may sit there,
Sounds like a neat program.
about active learning like that. When
Yes,
kids
sir.
are able to get up and move and be involved, whether it's math, reading, whatever, science, you name it. There's a lot of data out there that shows that children can excel when they are able to do that. Because, we have this thing where you have to sit in your desk and you're there for so many hours, and a lot of kids just don't learn that way. And if you've got activities like that where they can get out, and they're kind of learning to spite themselves, because this activity they're enjoying, they don't know they're learning so much, they're just enjoying this activity. And there's a lot of data to it, and so I think it's worth looking at.
It is something too that when we talk about small groups within that course, we have the core 60 minutes, then we have the 30 minutes of small groups. It is something too that we can put in one area of the room where if I'm the teacher and I'm doing intense instruction with 4 kids, then we might have some kids who already can do that skill using the mat, the other kids doing their iReady, and then we trade off. I might take the advanced, the lower level are doing addition, and so that is something can be used as small groups materials as well.
And my other comment is, the schools that aren't Title I,
Yeah.
they always, they're like, I don't know why these kids get to have this stuff, but my kids
And
don't.
we
I
talked-
mean,
We
so
talked,
that's-
we talked about that today. We are,
We're working on that.
yes, yes, ma'am.
Not Title
7.
I.
7 out of 17. We talked about that, at least trying to provide them a K2 set and a 3-5 out of some different funding, maybe Title IV, see how that goes, and maybe we can keep rolling that out.
That's always been a complaint.
And I understand that because.
I was there.
Be at a Title I school, it is, you do have a lot more resources available to you.
Well, Frederick's not Title I, is it? I mean, I hear it all the time. I mean, and so it's a disadvantage. Why does so-and-so school have Title I, not only the materials, but also the other? And you would think a country school like that, you might be Title I, but we're not. And there's a lot of them, it will surprise you who is Title I and who isn't sometimes.
I'm sure the interns are probably wishing, we wanted those floors.
Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
They're back there looking at that.
Okay, moving right along. The following are to be placed on 30-day comment period. First one is policy B.5.3, trip policy. Dr. Stark.
Board members, you have a copy of B.5.3 in your folder. I want to give you another copy of B.5.3, and I'll explain the difference. And then if you have some questions, we can decide which one you want to put out on comment. So B.5.3 came to me to be placed out on comment, and since the agenda's gone out, we've had more discussion about this policy. And I'm going to walk you through it at first, and then I'm going to tell you about the differences. So a lot of this is just tidying up the policy. But let's go to page 6. I'm going to start there. So we're looking at section 16.1, number 4. This is a change, and this would be the same in both versions that I've given you tonight. Curricular trips will be limited to 1 per semester with a maximum of 2 each year per group or grade level. So the only difference here is schools have been able to have 2 trips, but they could schedule whenever they wanted the 2 trips. So this year, we had several grade levels say, we want 2 trips in the month of May instead of spacing those out. So this policy, I know Mr. Bakijian worked with Ms. Hodges and Ms. Blankenship on this. The recommendation is that students in these grade levels would take a trip in the fall and a trip in the spring, not all at one time, for various reasons. But one being managing the buses, but 2, also not having so many kids out all at one time. I mean, Ms. Foster works to make sure we have nurse coverage, and when we have all these trips all at one time, she is struggling to be able to provide nursing coverage because we can't tell a student you can't go if you have diabetes or something. We have to provide a nurse. So this would allow us as a system also to manage the trips better, but again, not taking away any of the number of field trips they get to do. The next change, or proposed change, is on page 7, and we're looking at 17. This is different in your 2 policies. So on page 7, section 17.22. The one you had in your packet, there was no change to the grade levels that could go out of state. The current policy says for out-of-state overnight trips. Let me specify that. Out-of-state overnight, currently, students in grades 5 through 12 can go out-of-state overnight. The recommendation from our office is to change that 5th graders cannot go, well, you're going to see later, that no elementary students are going out of state. They're all staying in state. So none would go overnight and none will go during the day. But in this section, it's out of state overnight. So students in grades 6 through 12 would be the students who could go out of state overnight. Again, the number of schools that went out of state overnight is my understanding. We had 6 this year. From the beginning of the year, Ms. Foster and Mr. Dillon talked with our schools about our lack of nursing coverage. There's been some type of change over the last couple of years that we used to be able to send medication managers on these trips. So it might be an aide that was trained, and they could administer the same medication that they do at the school. Now, we, in most states, won't allow that any longer. So we're having to send a nurse on these trips, and we don't have enough nurses to do these trips. But we can't we can't have the trip and tell a student, well, you can't go because you need a nurse. And we can't require parents to go and take care of their child. So this has really become a real problem with nursing coverage. I see Mr. Dillon looking at me. Is there something you want to add? Please.
It is a tremendous problem. And we spoke to the administration at the beginning of the year saying, you can plan this, but we may not be able to provide you a nurse. So some of our schools elected to say, hey, we're just not going to plan an out-of-state fifth grade field trip, and we'll find something in-state to do. And to my knowledge, I have not heard anyone say that they were disappointed that they did that. So we did have some schools who said, hey, I'm not going to do the Gatlinburg trip. I'm going to go to the New River Gorge Bridge and do the walk under the bridge. And they were quite pleased with that. We still had 6 elected to go out of state. Your destination spot may be state so-and-so, but to get there, I have to go through this state to get here. Well, this state doesn't allow, or we can't transfer a nursing license. So we can't even get to destination here. It's becoming harder and harder to get where we have to go because we can't use quote-unquote medical managers. It's hard for us to find nurses that are willing to commit. Well, we can't force them to do that. On top of that, we can't leave our school, we can't close school because we don't have a nurse to go on a field trip. So Mrs. Foster has explored quote-unquote travel nurses. Mm-hmm. The cost would be 3 times as much as what they charge you. So I feel, I'll take the blame for this one. I've been the
You don't have to do that.
I've been the voice who has brought this to the attention of tonight. I feel the folks who elected to opt out and stay in state, I think they're well pleased. I think we would be, some of the 6 would still say, no, by God, we've been doing this trip forever. I understand that. I understand that. I think some of them we would be doing a favor. A few of the others we would be doing a favor by saying, you can't do it. And that would give them someone to blame it on. Blame it on Mr. Dillon at the board office. I think that would give them an out. I think in this state, you hear the governor speak all the time. We have so much to offer in this state. This is a tourism state. I hear that all the time. But we don't even partake of the things that we have in the state of West Virginia. I think we could have a very adequate, fun, educational 5th grade field trip in our own state. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. I do want to say, I think we have to be careful that this doesn't, if this would change, that this isn't changing on the backs of our nurses. I don't want them to be blamed for the fact that we don't do out-of-state trips for our elementary students. The rules are the rules, and we can no longer use these medication managers in so many states. Or like Mr. Dillon said, we can't travel through a certain state without a nurse. So it's become a huge problem. We made it this year, but it's a huge problem if we don't make this change. Ms. Foster has said she does not have the nurses to manage it this year. And like Mr. Dillon said, we would have to look at travel nurses. And typically, the nurses are paid in the evening beyond their workday. So that travel nurse is going to get paid beyond their workday. When the schools go out of state, right now, our practice has been the school pays that nurse's extra salary. So the school would be taking on that 3 times salary. So Mr. Snuffer.
I mean, I'm one that took the kids to DC, okay, as 5th graders. It's a great experience, but things have changed. We didn't have to worry about a nurse. We didn't have nurses. We didn't care. We just took the kids, okay? And I think that some of the schools that you talk about who traditionally go out of state, a lot of them go to DC. And that is a great trip. And I hate to see it get, but maybe we don't do it as a fifth grade, maybe we do it as a seventh grade, eighth grade trip. When I was in many moons ago, we did it as an eighth grade trip at Eccles. That was on the train.
On the train.
On the train, yeah, yeah. They all got drunk and got expelled, but they were on the train. But they were on the train. They were on the train. They were on the train. That was the kids from Park. We didn't do that. But, yeah. Gordy running the whole curve. But, yeah. Some of them are doctors today. I can tell you they are. But, no, but I understand why we're doing it. I mean, I do that. And I think we just communicate with them that, I mean, it's just not realistic to do it anymore.
So
I'd like to echo what Dr. Starch said. Our nurses will go above and beyond. This isn't hey, the nurses are coming to me, and it's just a tremendous, it really is. If we elect to say, hey, no, we're gonna keep doing it, we will make it out. I can assure you of that. We'll do our best. But it's very tough. It's getting very, very challenging.
I know Crescent, they stay overnight. Now, we would get on a bus, drive down there all night, tour all day, and get back on that bus and drive all the way back, and then be in a coma. But you would, I mean, that's basically what you did.
But we still have a school that does that.
Yeah.
There's one, to the best of my knowledge, there's one elementary school that does that.
Yeah.
There's one elementary school that goes to DC for 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, those are things that,
To my knowledge.
we'll just have to look at other
So does the
alternatives
nurse
for them
rules
and
change
to
in
do
the
it.
sixth grade?
The nurse rules do not change in the 6th grade, no. We would have to still provide a nurse in 6th through 12th grade too. But
I can speak to that, President Ford. It's like a rite of passage to have a 5th grade field trip. And you are correct. The rules don't change for 6th through 12, but it's sort of not, we don't look at that in 6th grade and 7th grade. And I'm not saying that we should or we should not. We probably wouldn't get as much push to, hey, let's have a 6th grade field trip. I'm just being completely upfront and honest with you. It's so many schools have done it for so long. I want every child to be exposed as much as they can, like anyone else.
So it gives them a goal to get through 5th grade. Get to 6th grade and go on a trip.
I mean, it would be challenging if every 6th grade said, it'd be less schools. It'd be less schools. We're talking about 5, 6 grades as opposed to 17.
And I know it's not as a grave issue as the nursing, the staffing, but things have changed in DC. And the money, when we see what it's costing a 5th grader to go, I mean, the money is just getting so much more difficult for a family to afford. We had a bus breakdown in Gatlinburg this year, and they didn't get to do some of the things they had paid to do. They had to sit on a bus for hours, these 5th graders. It's just some things that we've considered and talked about.
I mean, I'm not being mean, but the trip to Gatlinburg, I don't know how much education that is, but a trip to DC is educational. Can be very educational, but it's very expensive, okay? But I think, I agree with the policy and stuff. I just think that we need to educate the people why, and it's not on the backs of the nurses, it's just what we're looking at and the realistics of what we have today.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. I don't mind the change at all, but you and I both know communication is key, because day one for these elementary principals, what do some of them start thinking about? Planning for the 5th grade trip. So they're going to need to know, like, right away. And you're going to have not only some disappointed kids, but you're going to have disappointed parents that are going to complain too, because they kind of look forward to that and do all these fundraising things. So I think communication is of the utmost,
So,
with all of that. With all of that, based on our conversation, my recommendation is to place the version of B.5.3 on comment that was presented tonight with the change, not allowing out-of-state field trips for K-5 or pre-K-5. And so that would be my recommendation.
okay, I've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move that we put policy B.5.3 out for 30-day comment. That's what's presented to us.
And I second.
Motion moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Okay. To be placed on 30-day comment, policy C.2.2, professional staff development. Are you speaking to that?
Yes, Mr. Ford. The major change here, there are some just cleanup, but the major change in section 4 there, you'll see new members will begin their terms on October 1. Our new members, they don't begin July 1st, so we are just changing that to October, and there's no requirement in state policy as to when that term begins. So it's a minor change, but it follows our procedure here in Raleigh County. I would recommend that be placed on 30-day comment.
I move that we put policy C.2.2, professional staff development council, out for 30-day comment.
Is there a second?
Dr. Hutchins, second.
Dr. Hutchinson.
Dr. Hutchins, second.
Ms. Smith, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Policy E.1, summer programs, to be placed on 30-day comment.
Board members, you'll see that this policy is a short policy. It was 4 sentences long, so that has all been stricken. And then you'll see the new policy there. This policy, as it's written in the highlight, the new policy, is in accordance with what we currently do. We offer summer school for students in grade 12 who need courses to graduate, and then you'll see the references to House Bill 3035. And then if we have federal dollars available, we offer other summer programs. So we would recommend this policy be placed on 30-day comment. And it, as I said, it reflects what we currently do.
I move that we put policy E.1, summer programs, out for 30-day comment.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Excuse me. Okay, to be placed on 30-day comment, policy E.7A, elementary athletics.
President Ford, other than minor cleanup throughout the policy, the only substantive change is in section 2.1E on the first page. You'll see reference to the SERP that I mentioned earlier. That is a requirement to participate, so we'd recommend this be placed on 30-day comment.
I move that we put policy E.7A, elementary athletics, out for 30-day comment.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. To be placed on 30-day comment, D.3.8, alternative educational programs for disruptive students.
I apologize. At our last meeting, you'll recall that the board placed D.3.22 on 30-day comment. This policy is buried within D.3.22. You'll see some changes. These changes are all in accordance with changes at the state level. You'll see the language at 3.2. That's a new section. I apologize that there's green on page 2. I don't know how that happened. That should just be yellow. It shouldn't have a color at all. I don't know how that happened. But again, just all of these changes are in accordance with changes made at the state level regarding alternative ed. So we'd recommend that be placed on 30-day comment.
I move that we put policy D.3.8, alternative education programs for disruptive students, out for 30-day comment.
Second.
Motion's moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, to be placed on 30-day comment, policy D.3.14, cooperative with the law enforcement agencies.
This one is rather simple. The state has changed all reference to police departments, to law enforcement, and changed all references to prevention resource officers to prevention resource officers / school resource officers. So we're just updating this language to align with state policy. So I'd recommend being placed on 30-day comment.
I move that we put D.3.14, cooperation with law enforcement agencies, out for 30-day comment.
If, Mr. S-
Actually, we have two of them.
If I may speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. D.3.14 and F.14, they are the same policy, they are just cross-filed.
Okay.
So I would
We'll
think
put
you
them
could
both,
make
yes,
those
yeah,
together.
Let's make that, revise that motion, that we put policy D.3.14 and policy F.14, cooperation with law enforcement agencies, out for 30-day comment, both policies.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the following policies to be, have completed 30-day comment and approve the revisions of, first one is approve revisions of C.1.7, employee dress and appearance.
Mr. Ford, we received no comments on C.1.7, so we would recommend it be approved as presented.
I move that we approve C.1.17, employee dress and appearance, as was submitted to us tonight.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy D.2.7, activities fees to be placed. Any comments?
We received no comments, so we would recommend it be approved as presented.
Okay. Policy D.2.7, activities fees, move to be adopted as was submitted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve revisions of policy D.3.29, grading system. Any comments?
President Ford, we did receive one comment, and you should have a copy of that in your folder. It's an email subject, grading policy comment. You will see that we had a teacher provide a comment as a parent and then as a teacher. We did review this comment, however, and it's not that we're opposed to doing this. However, at this time, our platform that we use can only place a letter or the way I understand it, it's Weavis, not Schoology then. The way it was explained to me, it was Schoology. I apologize. It's Weavis that cannot put both a letter and a numerical grade on the report card. So at this time, we can't honor this comment. Should Weavis change and in the future we could do both, we could consider it, but I'm not sure that Weavis will change anytime soon. So we truly appreciate the comment, but we can't honor it at this time.
So your recommendation?
Is as presented.
I move that we put D.3.29, grading system, adopted as comes off 30-day comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, 30-day comments but over for D.3.30, promotion, retention, and grading requirements.
We received no comments, so we would recommend approval as presented.
I move we approve, excuse me, policy D.3.30, promotion, retention, and grading requirements, as was submitted to us tonight.
Second.
Motion's moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approve revisions of policy E.6, driver's training. The 30-day comment period is over.
We received no comments, so we would recommend it be approved as presented.
I move we approve E.6, driver training, as was submitted.
Second.
Motion's moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy E.7, curricular and interscholastic scholastic programs. 30-day comments over.
I apologize. We received no comments, so
Okay.
we would recommend it be approved as presented.
Move we approve policy E.7, co-curricular and interscholastic programs, as was submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we only have two more. Policy F.8, advertising and on county property. Any comments?
No comments. I'd recommend it be approved as presented.
I move we approve the policy for advertising on county policy F.8 as was submitted to us.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, policy C.2.10, lateral professional and non-teaching positions.
We received no comments. This was a repeal and replacement, if you recall. So I would recommend the policy, the first policy be repealed and be replaced with this version.
I move that we repeal policy C.2.10 and replace it with the policy that was submitted.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, that's all we got on that. Now we can move to something else. Consent items, A through E. Is there any objection to approving those as a package?
I move we approve the consent items that were submitted to us tonight.
Second.
Motion moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. New business. Consider the approval of the Curriculum Associates iReady Benchmark Assessment grades K through 8. K to 8.
Second.
Motion moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of the Simple Solution Math Curriculum K to 8 supplemental materials.
So moved. Second.
Motion's moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of the Heinemann Do the Math title interventional materials.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Consider the approval of the Math and Movement classroom kits for movement-based learning, Title I schools.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's moved and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, consideration.
We go into executive session, discuss some personnel issues.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
6:42. 6:42.
Yep, 6:42.
You guys can go home. You guys can go. See you tomorrow.
So, hey, Eric, we're gonna put a banner up there with your face on the crescent, so. Here's